Hello and welcome back to the Spiritual Mind channel. Brandy Nicole back with another video. If you're new, welcome and thank you for stopping by. Today I have a two-part video, so this is part one. Here on the channel we focus on mental health, we focus on spiritual health, we focus on mindset. And you may or may not know, I am a licensed therapist, so mental health therapist, and sometimes I want to share like a few suggestions on how to maybe handle some things that tend to come up often in my sessions with clients, or things that I personally have, had to navigate through as well. So today we are going to be talking about how to heal your mother wound. And this is definitely something that has come up several times lately in client session. And I just feel like this is helpful information, but it only applies when you're ready. So there is something to be said that healing happens only when you're ready. So it's important to keep that factor at the front of your mind, because if you're not ready to heal, if you're not ready to feel something different, if you're not plumb tired of going down the same emotional road that you've always gone down regarding this relationship, then it's probably not going to take you where you want to go to try and implement all of these things that I'm going to suggest here today. But some things will be a good match even for different phases of readiness. So let us jump in. And I may have to stop because in a moment, because I'm going to have a client session I have to jump over, but then I'll come back and then just kind of keep going. Okay, so first up, we have to start by questioning and exploring what is the feedback or message we are receiving from the relationship with our mother about ourselves. So what is the actual feedback message that you are receiving about yourself regarding your mother and your relationship, regarding the relationship that you share with your mother, or the relationship you don't share, or whatever you frame it as. But like, what is the feedback you're receiving about yourself? That's important. So I have 10 steps, but I'm just telling you like the primers first. So grab your pen and paper if you want to, because this will really be a great map to resolve and find peace and to heal in that relationship. So item number 2, there's 3. Consider working with a therapist to factory reset your inner messaging or self-concept. So basically, if we think about it, our relationship with our mother and our father are a primary way that we have a self-concept develop for ourselves. So whatever we understand regarding our relationship with our mother, same for our relationship with our father, is going to have an overlap or an imprint on our personal self-identity, a personal self-concept of our sense of value, our sense of worth, our sense of what is appropriate treatment, or our sense of what boundaries and how we receive love and all of those things. So second thing you really want to consider is, if you want to heal your relationship with your mother wound, you may want to get in touch with a therapist to just have an open space to really do the deeper work and have the deeper conversations, because you can't sometimes just say, I'm done, no baggage here, without having, the time investment and effort investment to do the actual work. Therapy is work. It's not always easy. And so sometimes we don't choose to do that. Sometimes therapy is expensive or hard to navigate because mental health and access. But if you are able to, therapy can be a great avenue, as long as the therapist is trained to a certain level, because that's important too. You want to be with someone who's skilled and can really partner with you on the issue that you're hoping for some support with, because therapists have different specialties. So not just any or every therapist will be trained or skilled specifically at healing attachment issues and relational issues. All right, so item number 3, admit your role in the dynamic. Victim mindset is real, ego is real, and so is orchestration. So what I mean when I say admit your role in the dynamic, generally when people have a mother wound, there is a dynamic at place where the mother party has this like resource they're not providing: love, attention, time, care. So this mother character, and if we look at mindset, I'm kind of using that approach here, so hang out with me. So the mother figure in this dynamic has resources, but we're not getting any of those resources because there's a wound, which is like the confusing part, because when you are born, you are reliant on your parents or your guardian or your caretaker to provide the resources you need. It is notable for children to know when they are not receiving provision, certainly, but a lot of this is the frame that is developed in childhood through the experience and kind of retained through adulthood, depending on the person and the healing journey. But victim mindset means that mother figure has the resources and is not sharing them for whatever the case may be, or is choosing not to share them, or is making poor decisions, or what have you, or sharing them with someone else, or whatever the thing is, right? Which means I'm not getting something I need and this person's not giving it to me. I want what I need, pretty much. This person isn't giving me the thing I need. So the person who has the power in that dynamic is going to be mother figure. You don't have any power. You have need. You have deficit, pretty much, in that scenario or in that combination. So ego puts on its little cape and comes in and says, that's not okay with me. I don't like this. Is something wrong with me? So normally for kids, the ego will not say, I'm great, no problem here, nothing to see. Normally with children, the ego will say, something's wrong with me, not them. Like, there's no problem with them, it's gotta be me. So for whatever reason, children don't have, fully developed brains, certainly, so reasoning can be limited, where some children will actually be upset with their parents at a young age and understand that it's them, but there's still normatively a bit of a skew on like the child's sense of personal value because they're not receiving a need, so they feel the depreciation and the deficit, which is then internalized, right? Because if you don't pour into people, they don't necessarily always have access to it if it's just not happening. So there's that. So then ego says, like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good, I'm not deserving, I'm not lovable, and those sort of things. But then there's orchestration. So admitting your dynamic may be admitting you might have a victim mindset that's playing out in your process. Admitting your ego may have taken ownership of deficit, right? But you're admitting your role in the dynamic may also be admitting your role in the orchestration of the pattern. So after the age of 18, where you no longer are expected for your mother to provide, are you trying to create the fantasy from your childhood? Are you trying to make it look like you needed it to look or wanted it to look before? So I like to call that orchestration, which is basically trying to recreate the experiences that are blank from childhood, of like, oh, well, I wanted to be the type of young person who went shopping with my mom, and I wanted to be the type of young person who got to have dinner with my mom or do our nails. So there may be a part that you play in adulthood where you're trying to recreate those experiences, which also means if your mother figure is not interested in that or is not actively working with you in that vision, then it's orchestration, because that means you are overriding the joint collaboration to be in the leadership role for something that isn't for you to lead. Like, you're not meant to hold your mother's role and simultaneously yours, because it makes you the mother figure, not your mom. So in adulthood, you can definitely partner and collaborate, so that's healthy. but also you would want to keep the positioning for yourself in the role of daughter. And that can mean some specific things. So I'll share, because each person gets to define, their life and their experience and their relationship with others, including their moms. But it is important to consider if you're experiencing victim mindset, and to be honest about that, because some people can't see it. They can be so distracted with what they didn't receive that they don't realize they no longer, as an adult, have to have it from that person in the way that they perceived it in childhood. So there can be like a mental block on that a little bit. So I think I'll have to stop there, but I'll be right back after this client session and we shall continue. But yeah, ego's real, orchestration can be real if you're trying to override and create this version of reality within your relationship with your mom, where you're giving more than 50% of the effort, then it's orchestration. So I will be back with 1 through 10, and I'm making this video just be a relaxed, let's talk through it slowly. I'm not rushing. So yeah, we'll get back together and continue in just a moment. Okay, I am back, and the day is now finished for client session. So we are going to jump into the second part of this session, this workshop, because what I'm sharing here today is actually going to be helpful for any person who's very seriously motivated to create a healing process around their mother wound. So I'm going to jump back in and we're going to get back into workshop mode. So I'm going to be sharing the top 10 things that I personally see as valuable for healing a mother wound based on my experience as a mental health therapist and supporting folks through that process, because it's really important that we have the tools to do differently if we wish to. So the first thing that I feel is really helpful as far as working on healing your mother wound is to notice how your relationship actually feels to you. So that means getting into your heart space of what you're feeling versus what you're thinking, which is, I think this person doesn't, care. I think this person does not love me. I think this person does not care for me. This person does not prioritize me. This person did this thing, and then they did that thing. And what about the time they did that other thing? So that's living in the thought and the logic of the feeling versus the feeling. So instead, drop into your heart space, which means let your mind be at ease and figure out what you're actually feeling regarding that relationship and connection. So the relationship makes me feel, let's see, underappreciated is a good example. Unseen, unsupported, unloved, nurtured, unacknowledged, the things that you feel are lacking. How do those things make you feel? Makes you feel sad, probably. Makes you feel angry, makes you feel resentful. The feelings, we got to figure out what we're actually feeling. So it's really effective to write down what you're feeling in that moment, because I think the more that you can actually identify and name your feelings, the more healing impact you can gain versus I don't know. So like with therapy, whenever I have clients who tell me I don't know, I always slow them down and say, actually, let's stay here until you can identify a feeling, because it's better for your healing process versus saying I don't know, which is not actively resolving anything. And that's what, that's how therapy can be hard. Sometimes we have to sift through that big abyss or blank screen that we're feeling to find something to help us move forward on the path. So I personally, as a therapist, rarely ever accept an I don't know from a client, because I don't think that's helping the client heal in any way. It's just kind of bypassing. And if, that's the thing, then we can talk about, avoidance and whatnot too. So just really thinking about what is this relationship actually feeling like to you, right? So not just what we were talking about before, where how does a relationship make you feel about yourself, but how does the relationship make you feel in general? Okay. Item number 2, consider if your behaviors are congruent with the current version of the relationship. So like the factual pieces of the relationship, are your behaviors actually congruent with that? So like the factual relationship, are your behaviors congruent? Are you trying to force things? Are you waiting on some someday expectation that the relationship will improve or be different? And what do you want, really? So like the first thing is like, sometimes people will try to orchestrate, which is a term that we've already talked about, where basically you're holding like 70 to 90 or 100% of the effort in the relationship, and your mother figure is doing maybe 20 to 40 or 5% of the effort to maintain the relationship or to engage in the relationship that you have. So that's force, that's orchestration, where you are driving and your mother figure is not, which means they are a passive passenger. So it will never work to feel mothered if you allow your mother figure to be passively a passenger in that relationship. So those two just can't coexist, really. So that's just not gonna ever produce the like meaningful, healthy relationship dynamic. And I say that, and I stand by that, because I know ever and never are strong words, but you get what I'm saying, hopefully. All right, so then the second part of this was, so like first we talked about force, or like orchestrating to like try and create that dynamic, but also there are a lot of folks who have mother wounds who are waiting on the someday expectation that the relationship one day will improve if they just hang on, if they just keep tolerating the relationship flaws as they currently are. Oh, my mom is very self-centered and talks about herself all the time. She never asked about me, but if I just keep taking her calls where she's basically making me her mother figure, then maybe one day she'll be a real mom to me and realize what a value I am in her life and that kind of thing. So there's definitely different ways we may try to show up and wait on someday, not realizing our way of showing up is a factor in that someday never ever coming. So like sometimes like it's reasonable to expect your mother wound to heal and for the relationship to improve. Only when your mother wound heals is when the real relationship can improve, truth be told. But the other part of this that's super interesting is a lot of times the mother wound places the daughter or son in the maternal role of being the caretaker for the mother figure, or, and I guess that's just more specific for the dynamic where sons and daughters want to have the relationship and the connection versus when they don't. So when you don't want to have any connection, you can still have all these same feelings, but like the dynamic will maybe just be at pause because there's no engagement at all if there's no active participation in the relationship on either side of parent or child. Okay, so sometimes folks will wait for the someday expectation or opt out completely as well, but that does not remove the mother wound, so to speak. So that mother wound will still be there, and a problem. Oops, sorry, my focus was rolling out on me, and it's hot. So this is what we're doing today. So let's see, there was one more part to this. So waiting for the someday relationship doesn't work. Also, trying to force a relationship doesn't work because it's always keeping the relationship at a surface level. So even if you try and force the whole of the relationship and the fantasy version of that relationship, it can't go beyond the surface because there are not two parties actively participating. So there's always going to be that sensation of lack because you know at the core of you that it's not the real thing. Okay, so also ask yourself the question of what is it that you want? What do you actually want in this relationship? Do you want to have a relationship with your parent where you're willing to accept whatever you can get, which can be a dynamic of the mother wound? It's just accepting whatever you can get, which then transfers over to your other relationships, most likely with friends and partnerships. You will be more prone to accept whatever you can get mostly, or sometimes there can be a little variance. It depends on like maybe your relationship with your other caretaking parties, so like your dad and or other folks who were instrumental in your upbringing that were adults. So all of that can factor in too. But basically that's the second point, is just consider if your behaviors are congruent. Are you saying you want a good relationship with your mother figure and that you want to heal the wound, but then continue to force a relationship that's incongruent? If you're saying you want a healthy relationship with your mother figure and to heal your mother wound, but you're also continually waiting for a someday version of the relationship while portraying and taking on the role of mother figure in the relationship with your mother and allowing you to become the caretaker of your mother, then that's incongruent. So also, if you say that you want a healthy version of the relationship, are your behaviors healthy? Do you practice good boundaries? Are you not holding boundaries? Are you accepting whatever you can get? Are you having positive and meaningful communication? Are you stepping back as needed? Are you saying what you need, and those kind of things? So item number 3 here is consider the motives of your behaviors in the relationship. Is it productive? Are your behaviors productive for what you say you want in the relationship? So that's still kind of the element of what is congruent. Are you doing the thing that matches what you say you want in this relationship? So consider the motives of your behaviors in the relationship. Is it productive what you're doing? Does it match? And it's normally a no if you're offering more than 50%. So if you're in the position of orchestration, where you're doing more than your share of what's reasonable effort in the relationship, beyond the 50 percentile, then it's not necessarily going to be a healthy behavior pattern. And I know when I say 50%, I was just kind of playing with that concept in my head as I said it. So like, all relationships aren't always going to be 50-50, right? So like sometimes in meaningful, healthy relationships, sometimes there's still more of a like moving dial of ebb and flow, but the overarching consistency should still be equal collaboration, more or less, not where it's one party continually taking the leadership stance in a mutual dual relationship. So that's really important. So I would try and encourage you not to get too hung up on the whole 50-50, because that can bring up a whole spiral of different thoughts about what it means to be in a relationship, 50-50, all that. But just like equal effort is what I'm trying to speak to here. So there's that. Okay. Item number 4, have you had the talk? So this is where you've actually used your words and said, hey, this is the kind of relationship I would like to have. I would like for us to have. Are you open to that? And having the conversation with your mother. So if you are having a mother wound, but you've never communicated clearly with actual verbiage, hey, I would really like for us to have a healthy, meaningful relationship. Are you open to that? I think we should go to family therapy. I think we should talk more. I think we should work on like spending time and putting down our phones. You know, whatever it is that you feel like, have you had the talk with your mom if you are someone who's actively working or seeing your mom while, carrying around a mother wound. So that could be something to be thinking about. Like, are you having the conversations you actually need to have? A lot of times when I talk with clients, this is something that is not happening. This is something that there is not an interest in doing, because it means that there's going to be some sort of confrontation element. And a lot of times that's the part that's scary for the folks I've been helping with this, is just having to deal with a confrontation, or feeling like it will be a confrontation, feeling like they're going to be told that everything is good, or feeling like they're going to be told that they want too much, or that they should be ashamed, or, some kind of dynamic where it's going to be received with negativity. But I think the truth is, no matter what, if you haven't used your words to express what you want, there is a chance that they will assume that the relationship is fine as it is. right? Because you're not expressing that you want something different directly or using any language to indicate that. So then the question is, well, did they listen to you when you have the talk? Did they hear you, and did they adjust the behavior? So did your mother figure actually adjust the behavior? Did they hear you? Did they listen? Can you see them working on this? Because if so, then they are open to really collaborate potentially on building a healthier version of the relationship. That may be something that they're really seeking as well. And it's only possible to find that out from having the conversation, using your voice and saying what it is that you'd like, because your voice is valid in this relationship. So it's very important that you do that. But if you have a scenario where you've told your parent that I really want to have a healthy relationship, are you in? And they say yes, but they don't listen, they don't hear you, and they don't adjust, as far as boundaries where they would be best required or suited, then they aren't in a place to be in action. I mean, they might like the idea, but they may not have enough action, interest, time, attention, by whatever reason, by design, by choice, by circumstance, what have you, to offer that to you. And that's the truth, right? Like if you, and this is true for everybody, any person you interact with who is showing up in a relationship with you but giving you less than you deserve, they may not have the capacity to give you what you actually deserve. And you have to accept that. Like, it's reasonable to accept that people are all built to different capacity limits. And if they want to extend beyond their current capacity limits, just like you got to go seek out the information. You got to go apply the effort to improve your self-development. So you have to want to be a more emotionally intelligent person. You have to want to be more patient, kind, and considerate. You have to actually want that enough to go do the work, pick up a book, go set that therapy session, watch YouTube videos, study, read articles, have conversations, test stuff out. You have to actually do it. You can't just say yes and then go shopping and call that done, so just like you're educating yourself, that's how it works for everybody if you want something, you have to go get it, pretty much is what I'm saying here. So if you're finding that the person you're interacting with is not actually going and getting it, and you're not seeing any sort of effort of change, they may not have the capacity nor the interest. But I always kind of put it like this, and this is just, my own thought process. If there was $1 million on the line and this person had to build a boundary or a skill or learn something specific, what would they do? So people aren't incapable of doing things if it's clear that there's a meaningful, more immediate or future tense benefit. So value is a thing, and I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, because that can kind of be a bummer to hear, but in adulthood, you're valuable regardless to if you have a mother wound or active involved mom, not as active involved mom, whichever. You are still highly and supremely valued. You're a gift of God. You're here. You're a miracle, in fact. So there's no need to hold on so tightly to one person affirming it versus you starting to register that regardless to my relationship with my mother, I am an amazing individual and people are blessed to know me. You gotta find that part of you. There's definitely some good books out there that are really helpful. I was trying to find a few. Well, I don't have them with me, but I was trying to find a few to recommend and also to study, just so I could stay up to date. I don't know where those books went, but But I will put them in the description in case anyone's asking, or if you are curious of what books I would recommend, just let me know and I'll put them in the comments so I don't get stuck looking around for books. But one of my favorite things to do is if I can find a good book on a subject that I'm covering often, then I'm gonna go on and go through it and see what I can take from it to basically utilize in helping clients, but also to extend like my personal sense of process for these types of experiences that are just human experiences. So there's a few books that I thought looked really good that I got off of Amazon, so I will be happy to share should anyone be interested. So just leave a comment, let me know. But let's carry forward. Okay, item number 5. Did you listen to the behaviors to determine your... Oh, okay, so do you listen to the behavioral response to determine your energetic emotional output? So this question is basically asking, are you paying attention to, and I hope the lighting's okay. I see it's a little bit dimmer. I'm not sure how that happened, but it's getting late. So going into OT. But basically, are you paying attention to the actual factual behaviors that you are receiving from your relationship with your mother, or an active relationship, whatever, to determine your energetic emotional output? So how much you pour into this relationship should potentially mirror what you're actually getting from the relationship. What is the effort level that you're actually receiving? So if you're in a relationship where you're in a connection with your mother, and the relationship is operating at a 20% effort by your mother, then all you would need to do is match that level of effort. So if you find that your mother is at 20%, then you should be at 20%. And then the question becomes, well, what does 20% look like? Does it mean picking my mom up to and from the store and answering her call whenever she calls, and running her errands? Does this mean maybe just grabbing her call on the weekend when it's convenient and you have the time to be present for checking in? Does it mean maybe shortening the calls from 45 minutes of your mother talking about herself to maybe 15 minutes where you make an effort to share about yourself versus waiting to be asked? Like these kind of things help balance out the dynamic where you exist again. And I'm not going into a lot of detail as best as I can, but I'm just trying to share like realistic examples where clients have shared like some imbalance without sharing their personal information. So just sharing examples that are similar but not the same. Let's see. PHI, we gotta protect and keep people's business confidential. But, similar examples can still be helpful. Let's see. Item number 6. Mother yourself. All of the orchestrated behaviors and efforts need to be refocused on the self. So this is where you want to actually start focusing on giving yourself that extra love and nurturance that you are trying to relay to your mother figure party. So go on and take that time to take care of yourself. So instead of running errands for your mom or grabbing her call whenever, like run your own errands and maybe turn off your phone or journal or do whatever you need to do that helps you feel nurtured, loved, and attended. So you want to love yourself as you want others to love you, because ultimately how you love yourself will determine how others understand to love you. So that can be very helpful. It's like creating the template and then allowing people to see your version of normal self-love. Maybe it's that you take time and you let yourself relax and you treat yourself to cinnamon rolls on Saturday and you go to the gym. I'm going to the gym myself tomorrow, but like whatever you like to do that helps you feel well within, to feel a piece of autonomy. I definitely think, for me personally, my relationship with God has grown tremendously. So that's something that I always recommend, is like for folks to explore their religious or spiritual belief system and to utilize that space to heal as well, especially if you've experienced a mother wound or a father wound or attachment, relational issues or difficulties. So there's that. Okay, item number 7 that I think is really helpful is to start a practice of writing closure letters. So this is where you can write a letter to your mother and basically share everything that you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, what you wanted, what you didn't want, what has you feeling disappointed, what you're going to change, what you're going to stop doing, what you're going to acknowledge, your role in things, all of it. Like, just, write that closure letter. No holds barred, complete honesty, no filter. And then, let it be. But I recommend normally for this process to write 3 or 4 letters, space them out maybe every 2 weeks or so, and then just keep writing. And you'll notice your own healing patterns with each new letter you write. So closure is possible without having to have a conversation with your mother figure if you don't choose to. You don't necessarily have to get closure from another person. So let's see. But the ego will tell you to try and get closure from that other person because you're still seeking external validation. So try not to worry about that. But also, if you find that you're saying, no, she needs to know, she needs to hear, when you've already said it a few times, then she doesn't need to know and she doesn't need to hear. You need to hear and you need to know. Oh no, I think I missed a chunk of one. So we just talked about closure letter, but I want to jump back to item number 6 because I realized I just missed something. Loving yourself as you want others to love you. Okay, so item number 6 is talking about mothering yourself, and all of the orchestrated behaviors and efforts need to be infused and focused on yourself and self-love journey. But I didn't say this other part. So basically that practice will reduce externalization and projection onto your mother. So when we actually turn all of our attention back to ourselves and focus on giving ourselves that emotional fulfillment, focus on our faith system to give us that emotional fulfillment and peace, we stop externalizing, we stop projecting onto our mother that they need to do something now in our adult life. So this is where that expectation of you were supposed to, you never, you always kind of just vanishes, because of course it's not fair that you have to go through an experience where you feel low security emotionally in your mother, in the relationship with your mother. Low emotional security, low emotional support, low emotional acknowledgement, low emotional connection, we'll say. And they should have been able to give that to you. It would have been great if they did. That would have been cool. But also, you should not be externalizing that in adulthood, because they are no longer responsible after 18 to give it to you. Yeah, they were before, but what is the win in holding your mother for the rest of your life hostage in that expectation and projection? If they didn't do it, chances are they don't know how, don't have the capacity. So just literally don't have the bips and bops to do it. But also may have never experienced it enough to know what it even looks like. Doesn't know the tools, the steps, or whatever to do it. Doesn't know how, doesn't know, and I mean, some say, well, they just don't want to, but that also would imply limited awareness of its value, and which means also limited experience of its value too. So you can go with that. And resentment hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. It doesn't hurt anyone else. Like, you being angry, as I say, is like shooting yourself in the foot and then being mad at your mom about it. Like, you have to put down the, yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to the focus here. Okay, so we jumped from 7, which was writing the closure letter, to 8. Set healthy expectations on the behavior you actually see. So if you are working on your relationship and healing a mother wound, an active relationship with your mom, then figure out what's a healthy expectation based on the behaviors you're seeing. So maybe your mom is cool with like talking with you, hanging out, coming to the family functions, and that's the expectation because there's consistency there. So whatever you feel can be consistent is probably going to be the best thing on the leaderboard, because with any child who has a mother wound is that there's an inconsistency pattern, which is very triggering. So look at what consistency patterns the person has proven. Maybe it's just going to family functions. Maybe it's a call every 6 months. Cool. Then that is the healthy expectation. That's the baseline. So then you mirror that. You go to healthy, you call every 6 months or whatever, and you also go to the family functions and be in good spirits when you do it, So like, there's no reason for you to like roll your eyes and talk about it with someone else in the family. Like, look, she's 2 hours late, whatever. Just, chill. Like, be in good spirits, but just match that energy output, okay? So that also mirrors like the healthy expectation. Look at the consistency factors, and that will tell you how to determine what healthy expectations to set. So a healthy expectation isn't, well, if my mom calls me every 6 months, my healthy expectation for this person who has not demonstrated anything but calling me every 6 months is that we talk every week or we talk every day, because that's healthy. Every day isn't healthy in my opinion, because I have other things to do, hopefully, on some level, but also, everyone gets to pick their own journey here. But I think you may veer on the side of what's actually consistent without your effort. That's the true healthy expectation in this dynamic of healing your mother wound specifically. So base it on the behavior you actually consistently see, not the fantasy of, I wish my mom would call me every day and ask how my day was, because you are over 18 and it's time for you to be more interested in how your day is every day. And not to project that onto partner relationships too, because a lot of times people will move that mother wound perspective into their relationship. So now your partner needs to call you every day or ask how those things are basic, like things in a relationship depending on the context, but I'm just trying to think of like an example. Oh, here's one. So like, you're sad and then your partner needs to like look at you and say, hey, what's going on? Why so glum? Like, that's kind of like expecting a parent a little bit versus saying, hey, I'm having a bad day. Can I talk with you about it? Which is more where you're still accessing your partner's support, although it's fine and nice if they notice that you're upset or sad, but it's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility in your life to say how you feel and ask for support. Hopefully that makes sense. We are in charge of using our voice, basically, is what I'm saying. Anyway, moving right along to 9. Consider other people as mother figures as well. So cultivate those relationships where possible. So this basically is talking through the concept that more than one person can provide motherly nurturance to you. There's got to be more than one person that role goes to, as it does take a village. So relying solely on one person for anything is kind of a bit of a trap. You can appreciate any one person for their certain character strengths, But there's no reason to rely on just one person for anything, because you will find disappointment, as we're all human. So there's some limitation of, well, I can always count on my mom to be available at 4 a.m. exactly any time that I happen to call, because she might be asleep. You know, like, you never know. And it's not personal. People are always 100% in their own experience. They can witness your experience, but they're never in your experience more than you. And that's just the truth. A lot of people don't like that, but it is true. So hopefully we can all come around to that one. I'm enjoying this workshop, by the way. Hopefully you are too. I know I'm a little bit wavy with it, but hang on, you know, there's one more to go. If you've enjoyed this video so far, can I get a thumbs up from you and a little heart emoji if you've made it this far? Put one of those in the comments. It would mean a lot, just so that way other people can connect with this workshop and hopefully find some healing on their path of healing their mother wound. Okay, let's pay it forward. All right, so item number 10, allow the actual relationship to flourish. And when I say the actual relationship, that actual relationship is a relationship that does not require any orchestration. Like, what does a relationship look like if I really have healthy expectations and healthy energetic emotional input? What does it look like, and how can I allow that? How can I flourish within that? Also, whatever it is, be open to encounters that can be positive without the pressure of expectation. So whatever version of relationship that is actual, be sure to participate and engage in encounters where you can be positive and be being good spirits, in good spirits, without the pressure of expectation that, well, she's going to do something she has yet to do. She's going to ask about my day. She's going to call me every day. She's going to bake cookies with me. She's going to go shopping with me. We're going to go get pedicures next time. You know, so like that fantastical thinking of expectation from your, you know, your younger years of when you were needing those things. Go give them to yourself. Bake your cookies. Go get that pedicure. You know, like, journal, because you can't call yourself really. So like, you know, do whatever you need to do to like give yourself whatever you need without waiting for a person to provide it to you. Some things do require another human, and there's nothing wrong with needing and wanting love and connection in your relationships. But if you have a mother wound, it's important for you to figure out like the actual right balance for you to be healthy. And you'll know what it is when you no longer have triggers and you're no longer overproductive about that relationship. That kind of tells you like your sweet spot of, I'm feeling held here, like a baby. I'm feeling held. Sorry. So that tells you like, I'm not triggered at this point and I'm not overproductive. So I'm feeling, you know, swaddled up in this thing and it's good now. So that is a marker of healing. But also last but not least, it would be important for you to remember that healing a mother wound is a journey, like any other journey that has involved, you know, triggers or potential traumas. So you can go up the mountaintop and then you're checking out the view, and then that's healing. You're cool. You like, everything's calm. You're taking a little break, seeing the scenes. But then what you may realize with life is you go up the mountaintop some more, and then there's a different perspective and element of healing that could be coming in. So it's just which location of healing you're in at any given time, because life is a healing journey just by being here and being human, certainly. So I encourage us all to consider what we can do to really actualize our own healing and live a higher quality of life by being in tune with self, I have so enjoyed just gently talking through this, and hopefully it all makes sense, or most of it. This has been pretty like relaxed for me, and I did write out everything I wanted to share in advance. So hopefully this workshop can help someone on their journey. I would love for you to share in the comments below, like, what's one thing you took from this video that feels helpful? Is there anything that you would add? Do you want to share your experience in the comments? I mean, not too much, but you know, like what you feel is reasonable or appropriate. So I definitely want to know if any of this resonated for you and if this was helpful, because that's the whole reason I've decided to film this very specific video. I'm going to do part 2, as I mentioned before, where I focus on the father wound elements, and I think I'm actually probably going to ask my dad some of these questions and see what he says, so I can make that video more fruitful by asking a man, a father, in fact. So if that's something helpful, that should be coming up pretty soon too. And hopefully this video is meaningful and helpful, so be sure to share it with someone who you feel could benefit from it. And I will appreciate catching you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already. And yeah, let's do more relaxed kind of mental health workshops together. Let me know if there's any other topics you want me to cover. I was thinking self-sabotage could be good. Just a complete overview of anxiety and depression could be good. PTSD, grief, so kind of just my areas of specialty. So we gonna see. Give me your feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Take great care, and thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I love you. God loves you, and I'm hoping that this was helpful. Bye-bye for now.